Hello everyone, so it's a different environment. I know people are not used to this environment, but yeah, we just have to live with it for the moment. But I want to talk about, and we talked recently in the community post about the Danish postal service not delivering letters anymore after, I think it was nearly 400 years or something like that. It was a long, long time. And unfortunately, the days of letters are pretty much nearly numbered, to be totally honest. Even though it's still important. It's nice to get a physical card or a letter in the post, etc. It's very, very nice. It still happens in rural Ireland. A lot of people send letters off. It's the old custom in a lot of cases. But on Postedy, the Irish Postal Service have increased the stamp from next month, may I say, by 20 cents. So it's 165 at the moment for a stamp. Now it'd be going up to 185, which is pretty much nearly 2 you could say, a few cents off to €1. And eventually probably will go up to €2. Now, and for the rest of the world, it's going to be 3.95, and then Europe and Britain, 3.50, €3.50, and of course 3.95, which is pretty much €4 for say if you were sending to Brazil or Argentina or South Africa, something like that. Probably Australia too, maybe a bit more for Australia. I'm not too sure. But long story short, it's sadly I would say it's a necessary thing, because obviously a lot of people nowadays, some people are mean, like Calvin people, they wouldn't spend the money on a stamp. But yeah, it's important because we don't want our postal service to disappear pretty much like Denmark. It's a very vital role as a postman, etc. It's a very vital job for the community, particularly in rural Ireland. There's postmen in Cavan, etc. And there's older people living in the back end of nowhere, and that's the only person they talk to at the end of that day is the postman when they come around with a few letters or a bill or whatever. But it's a chat, I suppose, for a lot of people, for a lot of elderly people, is the postman. And I think it's very vital that we keep that job going, as opposed to, of course, letters and stuff. And unfortunately, half the time it's nearly bills. But it's still important to have that around, and especially the on post. They do good work on post in trying to make sure everybody gets their parcels, etc. And of course, it's very valuable service, and employs a lot of people too. So unfortunately, it's necessary. It is really necessary too to increase it, because there's a lot of people not like a Christmas Day. And I heard a lot of people saying this, and even when I was younger, you used to have so many Christmas cards you could fill a room with them. Basically, nowadays you don't get that many. You get a few here and there, of course, but nowadays it's not as much as it used to be. Like even when I was younger, I remember we used to get Christmas cards from people that we knew from years and years ago, and now you wouldn't get one from them, because the price of a stamp is too dear, and the price of a card, etc. You'd be out to swallow a fortune if you were sending it to a lot of people, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way the world has gone. But it's a sad increase that it is 20 cents. I know people say, what's the big deal? But it is a good bit of money to some people. People who don't have the money, it is a good bit of money. And particularly when it comes to state documents and stuff, in a lot of cases, if it's the Department of Social Welfare, if it's the local authority, the majority of it's still done by letters and stuff. If you get letters from the local authority or the revenue, etc., the government usually send letters. They're very good at that, the government, wasting the taxpayers' money on writing nonsense and letters. But it still happens, the government still send it. But the reason why I say this is, and I know it's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's necessary, because if this doesn't happen, to be totally honest, this 30 cent increase, in particularly national stamps here, An Post probably will cease to exist, because again, An Post is in a bit of trouble. The same as nearly every state entity, but it's particularly in trouble because nowadays letters are not making money for them. It's more the parcels, etc. People are buying things online, but it is necessary. But I think we don't want, and I think everybody in Ireland would agree, we don't want to get like Denmark, where there's no such thing as letters nowadays. We don't want that. I don't think any Irish person wants that to happen. But unfortunately, it's a necessary thing, and I suppose it does bring about, when the next 20 years where people be sending letters and the older generation dies off. Personally, I would say at Christmas time I sent off a good few Christmas cards to people. I could have spent probably 40-50 euro on sending things off for Christmas, just alone by stamps, etc. And I wrote a letter to my old teachers. They used to teach me. I wrote a letter on the card to them, to wish them happy Christmas, and just I thought it was nice just to send off a little letter to say how they were getting on, etc., and to thank them for all the work they did for me, etc. When I was in school, when I was in secondary school. It's nice to see, and I got a Christmas card back from one of them, and a little note, etc., which was, and again, it's the thought that counts, I do think. and it's very tough. It is very tough for the ticket somebody to send them a letter, etc. It's very tough. It's you having to go to the effort too, because you go into the effort to write, especially somebody dyslexic. It's not easy. But it's the effort that counts. I think in a lot of cases. But in the next 20 years, I don't know. That probably will be gone, because it's so easy now just to send it on social media. But I think it's the thought that counts. I think that's the main thing. But yeah, I suppose it has to be a society talk about this. But I do think it's necessary to keep on post as much as humanly possible. And again, to keep the post offices open too. So many post offices have closed over the last 30 years. It's madness. But as I say to people, if you don't use them, you lose them, and simple as that. And I say that to people: everything you can buy in the post office, or anything you can pay in the post office, if you bin charges, etc. Do it in the post office. Don't do it online. Do it in the post office if you can. If you live in the town beside a post office, do your business in the post office, because that's the only thing that's keeping them open. Is people going in and buying a stamp or buying whatever it may be, your bin charges. As I say, you can pay your council rates in a lot of counties too. In Cavan, people go into the post office to pay them. And other stuff too. You can pay many other things. You can get different credits and stuff even for your electricity in some cases. If you're on a top-up meter in some cases, you can do it. It depends on the area and depends on the post office, but in a lot of cases you can. But and you can pay loads of bills, of course, too, in the post office. But yeah. So let me know what you think. What do you agree with this? Because as I said, I think it sadly is necessary, and that's the sad thing about it. It is necessary. Because I think on post probably will be gone in the next 20 years, if they didn't increase it a bit. Because eventually probably will be €2 for a national stamp, and it will be for the rest of the world it might be €5 eventually, and for the rest of Europe, it could be €5 again. But yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.